the calf shed is finally full. We now have 120 calves in this shed, all on milk. And I thought this afternoon, whilst I'm here feeding them, I'll take you through what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, how I found it. And yeah, just you can have a bit of a calf feeding experience with me. Before we start, I just want to say thank you to the 3 farmers that have supplied us with calves at relatively short notice. I think between the oldest and youngest calf, there's only something like 25 days, so we've got a really tight bunch of calves. They come from 3 really good homes, all of which I know very well, and I'm very happy to have had the calves off them. And yeah, winter's coming. I got a hat on today because it is freezing cold outside. Make sure you head to the merch shop. There's a link in the description to get a beanie if you want one, because there's not many left and there won't be any new ones coming before Christmas. Also, if you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe whilst you're at it, that would be absolutely awesome. Remember, subscribing is absolutely free, doesn't cost you a penny, and helps me out loads. Right, just quickly before we start feeding, I thought I'd just run you through what we got here. So this is the oldest pen of Angus calves that we have. These are actually start to be weaned at the end of this week. It's currently the 16th of October. There's one back there having a drink of those little JFC bowls. We really like those. So these guys, and also this pen of Belgian Blues, or British Blues actually these are, I should say, are the same age. So they will be weaned at the end of this week as well. We'll start feeding them once a day for a week. And then basically, just as we come down through the shed, there's about 5 or 6 days younger on average, this group, than the first one. Another 5 or 6 days younger in this group. Half of these are the same age as this group. So there's 20 in here, 10 of them are the same age as those. The other 10 are the same age as those over there, and they're about, I don't know, 10 days younger than these. So there's a little bit of a spread, but to get 120 calves on that tighter pattern is ideal for us, because they can all be reared simultaneously. The weaning will just, you know, one lot will start weaning and they'll just go wean through them. They're currently on 7 litres of milk a day, so 3.5 in the morning and 3.5 in the evening. These 2 groups down here, I've just started to slow them down ever so slightly and trying to encourage them to eat a bit more hard grub. So they got this really nice hay here, and then also in each pen we have these half pipes, as I call them, that they have cake in. They're pretty much on ad-lib cake. If I see it starting to get empty, I just chuck another bucket full in. They're not on any specific amount per head or anything like that. Anyway, let's start getting some feeding done. So here is our JFC milk cart. It's a 160 litre version. There is a 340 litre version as well, but we plenty big enough for this one. It has a flow meter on the handle, so it pumps out, it mixes as well. If I show you inside, there's a plate at the bottom there that spins around like mad. Creates a little bit of a vortex in there to mix up the milk powder. This is what you charge it with, so you plug this in to charge up the battery for the pump. So I can unplug that now that we're going to start mixing up. And this little doohickey on the side here, that needs to be plugged in to doing the mixing, so you need to be near a source of electricity for doing the mixing. I'm going to be mixing up 140 litres of milk for the first batch of calves. So we've got roughly half of it in there, a bit more. There's about 80 litres of water in there at the moment. We'll put this mixing and we'll chuck in our powder. And we'll let it mix for a bit, and then we'll go do some feeding. So the first question you're going to ask me is, what are we actually feeding to the calves? So we are feeding this. This is Volac Blossom Easy Mix. Comes in these 20 kilo bags. There is a makeup of what it has. Oh, here it is down here. So this is 23% protein, oils and fats of 18%. It's got a load of trace elements and vitamins in it as well. And we feed this at 125 grams, made up to a litre of milk. So it's not 125 grams plus a litre, it's 125 grams in a litre of milk. And as I said earlier, they're having 3.5 litres each per feed, 7 litres a day. So we are motoring through. I think a pallet cost, I want to say about 2,300 quid. It's over £2,000 a pallet anyway. And yeah, we've been burning through it. But basically, it's nice and easy now because everything's on the same. We have 17.5 kilos of powder, 140 litres total mix. So this is half full. What we'll do is we'll turn this on, just flick the switch around the back. You'll see that plate start to spin and it will make a nice little vortex in there. And then I just load the powder in. there's no guesswork here. We've actually got a scale. So we put a bag on the scale. It's torn, so it says -0.22. That is the weight of an empty bag. So we put a bag on there, and then we take out about 2.5 kilos out of each one and put in this empty bag here. That works out that every 7 feeds, or every 7 batches I mix up, that bag will have 17.5 kilos in, and then we use it. So we know we're feeding exactly the right amount of powder. It takes no time at all to get mixing. We'll top up the water, so we'll top up to 140 litres here with water, and then we'll get feeding. Just whilst that mixes for a minute or so, I thought I'd show you our feeders. So these are the feeders we are using. They are from Dairy Spares, I believe. And they are a 20 teat drum, so there's 20 calves in each pen. They actually work brilliantly. These calves all come from homes whereby they're fed on a teat before, so when they turned up here in batches of 20, this went straight on there, no bother whatsoever. One thing I have found, and it's my own fault for doing it, is that when I got the last batch, which is the youngest ones at the top there, they're taking the milk far too quick out of these feeders, just because the teats have worn from the last 6 weeks of use. So Craig actually ordered us 20 new teats, which is why there's one drum over here on its own. This one has brand new teats in it as of yesterday, and they are a hell of a different to the ones on the other drums. It actually takes about 4 times longer for that end pen to feed. Which I know you'll think, well, that's no good, taking 4 times longer, but that is exactly what you want. The harder they have to suck to get the milk out of that teat, the more saliva they'll be producing, which is good for their stomachs, so they're bicarb, and it basically just stops them flooding their stomachs with milk. When they're young, like that end group, they can't absorb it if it just floods them. They need to take it in slowly, whereas these guys that are nearly at weaning age now, they'll guzzle that down and not even worry about it. But I had noticed over the weekend there was 2 or 3 calves in there that would feed in the morning, but they don't feed in the afternoon. I think they're just taking it in too quick, and it sort of upset their stomach a bit. So new teats in that drum, that's made a world of difference. Hopefully they'll feed fine tonight. I'm sure they will. And yeah, just going to feed these first ones. Go! Now these guys have been here long enough, and they know to just push and fight their way to find a teat. So they sort of go around in a swirling motion until all 20 of them are on one. I then stand here and watch the flow meter until the right amount of milk has been dispensed. And then basically I just go on to the next pen and do the same thing. And there's the second group happy. In the time it's taken me just to stick the feeder in and feed them, these guys are finished. They don't hang about, they get straight down to business. That's when they start damaging the teats, when they're stuck on them when there's nothing coming out. So go and grab that feeder. We have ordered some more, so hopefully tomorrow or the day after when they turn up, we'll put new teats on all of them, just because it's better for them. They're not sucking it out so fast. And you may have noticed that we are feeding cold milk. So this is our water source here for the shed. It's just a blue pipe where the water comes in. We've got a tap here for washing out. I'll show you that later on. That goes out that end of the shed. And then we just got this stop tap on the end, a piece of pipe we put in here and fill it up as and when we need to. Now ideally I would like to feed warm milk to the calves. You can actually get a heating element that goes in the JFC cart. The only problem with that is it will heat the cart up to the perfect temperature for the calves to feed on, but it takes a little while. And obviously when I've got to do 3 mixes every morning and every afternoon, that isn't really a feasible option. The other thing we could do is get like a hot water tank or a combi type tank thing there on the wall. That is something that we'll probably look into for next year, as next year we'll probably only be rearing 60 calves instead of 120, but that's a completely different story that I'll come on to another day. But if I could have a hot water tank there on the wall that I could then half fill with hot and half fill with cold, get it to around that 35 degrees temperature for the calves, they might well do better. I don't know. They seem perfectly happy with cold milk. They've all had their milk, these 2 pens here now, They've gone away eating cake or eating hay, which is good. The only way I would know is if I was to feed some hot and some cold and compare their weight gain, but I can't do that this year, so that'll be perhaps a project for next year. Anyway, the second mix is now done, so that is going to feed these guys here where that drum is, the ones over here where that drum is, which then leaves the last mix for the new ones on the new teats, and also the blues down here right beside where we wash everything out. So all the equipment ends up down there. Now that everything's fed, all you can hear is silence and the odd one munching away on a bit of hay. We come down to cleaning everything out. So I keep this feeder separate at the moment because it's got the new teats in, so I know what's what. And it is as simple as it gets. You have a hose pipe here on a trigger, and I literally just rinse everything off so that all the saliva, all the remnants of milk powder and milk is gone. Give it all a good swill out inside and out. I then take my soap, so we've got DPO or DPO, the grease buster. This is literally just domestic washing up liquid. Put a bit in this bucket here, fill that one up to sort of nice frothy soapy water. Now again, I've not got hot water down here, so everything has been washed out with cold water. That 5 litre drum of soap that I've just shown you has done the entire calf feeding stint so far, so we're about a month into it and I've still got some left in there. Touch wood, so far so good. I've not had hardly any issues. I've had a couple calves that I have had to jab, and I will show you those in a minute once I've done my washing up. I just rinse all these off so they are clean inside and out, and then scrub the outsides with soapy water with a brush. I do exactly the same with the feeder there. I rinse it all out so it's clean, and then give the inside a good scrubbing with soapy water. And that's it. I put them in on a pallet so they can drain away and they dry, and then they're ready for the next morning. There, clean. Right, that is everything washed up. We are rapidly losing daylight. It's starting to get dark quick now, isn't it? Got a few calves here eating a bit of hay, which is nice to see. Most of them just go and lie down and have a bit of a snooze. They go into like a milk coma. It's like having a food coma. All I do now is I plug this back in so it is all ready for the morning. So that one in there, and then we take this one, we plug that one in there, we open this up, and we fill it half full with water so that in the morning I can just grab a bag of milk powder, weigh out what I want, tip it in, and off we go. I'll leave that filling up for a minute and I'll just take you and show you some of the calves I have had to intervene with a little bit. The first one is in this pen. I can't actually see it from where I'm stood. Number 349. This is 348. So that one's mate. Anyway, I can't see it, but I had one in there. I don't know if you guys remember, any of you have been watching the previous videos, that was off colour one night and I said I wasn't particularly happy with it and I ended up jabbing it with antibiotics. Where I had one 6mm jab of Alamycin, and it was a completely different calf. It changed it night and day, and it's been absolutely fine ever since. It's in there somewhere. It might even be this one here that's feeding, but I don't want to disturb it whilst it's feeding. So that's one calf. I have one of the Belgian Blues in here, number 509. Didn't want to feed the first night it came. I don't know if you can see it on the camera at all. That one there, lied down chewing his cud, is 509. A happy little fluffy bear. And then the other calf, which we've actually had the vet out to this morning, just because I wanted their opinion on it, is in this pen here, and it's number 4320. We might have to go in and find it, because I want to show you this one. Now 4320 was one of the first calves we had. It was actually the very first one we put an EID tag into, in this pen that we're stood in now. Now me and Bruce were stood here tagging them, and we let it out after tagging it, and it ran up to that end of the pen, turned around, ran back here, flat out, straight into that gate. You see we've got weld mesh on here, and its face, or its nose, went through there perfectly, and it had a cut along the bottom where its chin hit. Slice a little flap of its skin on its chin as it went through the gate, which was not ideal. Now we didn't think anything of it. I put some blue spray on it, hoping it would be absolutely fine. It's never missed a beat in terms of feeding, but this little cut on its chin tracked up its jaw, and it turned into a bit of an abscess on its jaw. Now it's lied down here. It's this calf here that I'm pointing at. I don't know how well you can see on the camera the lump on the side of its face. You might just be able to make out the lump here on the side of its face. But like I said, it never ever stopped feeding. And this morning when the vet come to look at it, because I just wanted their opinion really, we got it in the corner over here against the water trough, and the pressure of us against the calf on the wall actually caused it to burst. And it was like something off of the Hoof GP, if you watch that, when he finds little abscesses on their feet. The thing just exploded and there was pus flying out. It was immensely satisfying to watch. So they've left us some pen strep, and I have to jab it every morning with 3 mil of that for the next few days, but he's absolutely fine. He fed fine tonight. I completely forgot to look at him actually, but all 20 of them were on the feeder, so must have been fine. But yeah, out of 120 calves in the last 40 days that we've had them here on milk, I've had 3 that I've had to treat, so I don't think that's too bad. I'm quite happy with that. If the next 40 days go as well as that, I'll be well happy. And that is us done. I'll just show you what I'm feeding in terms of cake. So the youngest group in the corner, the mixture of blues and Anguses, they're currently having this, which is coarse calf mix. Bag's upside down, but calf mix, 18% quality coarse calf. That comes from Mole Valley. I think Mole Valley are nationwide, certainly in England. Barley, lucerne, crushed oats, maize flakes, oat feed, pea flakes, flaked beans, linseed flakes, minerals. So yeah, that's what we sort of start them on. And then when they start eating this nice and well, we start to gradually introduce these pellets here. Now these pellets are called a calf grower pellet. They come from a company called Feedco, who we deal with for our creep feed and other bits and pieces like that. So normally this trough is full. I've used up nearly all of it tonight, so I'll have to go and fill that up in the morning. What comes out of that trough is what I keep in these black half pipes, so they're on ad lib. If it gets low, I just top them up. Here's one we're currently not using. Anyone looking for a cheap way to make calf feeders, this was a 12-inch drain pipe, 6 meters long, non-perforated. I think it came in at about 70 quid with the VAT from one of our local suppliers. We've literally just screwed on a couple blocks of 2x4 to act as feet to stop it rolling over. We cut it obviously in half, so each trough costs roughly 30 quid, which is a fraction of the price you can find them online at. If anyone's looking for something like that, they're really easy to clean because this is shiny. So go down there with a brush or a handful of straw, cleans it right out if you need to. And yeah, I don't know what else to tell you guys. Everyone's happy. We'll start weaning at the end of this week. We will have to TB test all of these calves in about 3 weeks' time. It's a bit unfortunate, but they'll all be over the 42-day age, of which we have to test along with our herd test. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed seeing the calves in the shed. I'm not saying the way that I feed them is perfect. It's just what works for us with what I have here to hand. I mean, ideally I'd be on warm milk, but you know, they seem to be doing fine on cold. If anyone's got any comments they'd like to add, put them down below and I'll get back to everyone. I really do like reading through everyone's point of view on everything that we do here. There's quite a few things I take from the comment section and we actually put into practice here. Things we never even think of, but That is how we all learn. So yeah, make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already. Head to the merch store for hoodies and hats. It's getting cold. Everyone's got to keep warm. I think we've even got one gilet left. If anyone wants a gilet. Yeah, I'll see you guys on another video very soon. Cheerio.
Like a drug that